Now, Anthony Ponce here alongside Caitlin Cody up in Studio 32.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous Friday morning, and we have a lot of reasons to celebrate this morning.
Oh, do we ever? Chicago is the celebrity of the day.
We are the municipal celebrity of the world right now.
Right.
With this announcement yesterday, Caitlin, right when you walked off set here, moments later, biggest news in one of the biggest pieces of breaking news in Chicago history.
Yeah. And I was watching Anthony do the coverage, and he was just like, hold on, I got to gather myself really quick. This is wild. And I was downstairs listening to everybody in the newsroom as it was coming down, and the name was announced, and there was whispers. I think Paris was the first one that was like, oh, he's from Chicago. And then the producers were all like, no way. Really? No way.
We talked to Dr. Michael Murphy, and he said, okay, I just have to peel myself off the floor.
As I pull up this picture of me out to lunch with the guy last year.
Can you believe that? We had a picture of our guest out. They were in the Chicago suburbs. Now this man is the Pope Leo XIV, and we're going to be speaking with a local priest about this historic moment in about 15 minutes. And we are also going to dive into something that is increasingly becoming very relevant for parents like Caitlin and myself, and that is cell phones and kids. There's been a lot of proposed cell phone bans for schools.
Yeah.
We are going to speak to a local advocate for what's called the Wait Till 8th campaign, which is picking up steam across America. It's this campaign that parents like us, we pledge to wait till a certain age and a certain grade to give our kids a cell phone, a smartphone.
Yeah, and Anthony's very passionate about this.
I am very passionate about this issue. It is a bipartisan issue.
Yes.
This is one of the very few issues where the left and the right seem to agree on this one.
I think as parents, a collective, we are all terrified of the future of technology, and especially social media, and especially cell phones. So I am so curious to hear his perspective on this and how to get the word out.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We're going to be speaking to him a little bit later in the hour. But without further ado, we want to kick things off on this Friday morning. We're still kind of basking in this moment, but we have pulled the top 5 most Chicago Reddit reactions because, of course, we had to do this. So let's run through some of these.
All right. So the first one is from the Theater of Dreams Usher. And they say, is the Pope actually from Chicago or a suburb 45 minutes out of the city? This is such a Chicago statement, isn't it?
Exactly. Because, we all...
The debate continues.
If we're from Chicagoland, you'll have sticklers who will say, wait.
Are you from Naperville?
Are you really from Naperville? You're really from Joliet, and you say you're from Chicago. So yes, that's a distinctly Chicago post right there.
Yes.
All right, let's go to number 2. This is a beloved neighborhood hot dog stand, perhaps the most famous hot dog stand, I would say, in the world.
Oh, yeah.
There is what the Wiener Circle has on its marquee. Canes nostros ipse comerit.
I'm glad
Translation,
you said that.
He has eaten our dogs. Now,
really?
that's unconfirmed.
Oh.
We don't have footage of Pope Leo at the Wiener Circle.
I believe it, though.
I believe it. I believe it's on the icon.
That's so fun. Okay, the third one is the iconic pizza box that everyone knows.
Yes.
The Italy map on the pizza box. Delicious Italian pizza. The new Pope won't have any trouble finding his way around Italy. Being from Chicago, he's seen this map 1,000 times.
Oh, and you know that the pie inside, if it comes in that box, it's going to be distinctly Chicago, and it's going to be absolutely delicious tavern-style pie. Okay, let's go to number 4. Speaking of food, it's not Portillo's. Caitlin, it's Pope Tillo's. It's Pope Tillo's.
Yes.
You know that
winning.
We still have a lot of reporting to do for this Pope. We in less than 24 hours determined that he's a Sox fan.
Yeah.
But as soon
found his brother.
Yeah, we found his brother. So we need to know, like, as soon as we find out all his favorite local spots.
Oh, we'll be hitting those spots.
We're gonna be hitting those spots. They're gonna be like overrun with business. It's gonna get serious.
Literally, after it came down, I walked into the newsroom and said, okay, so who's gonna find out where he lives, where he grew up, where he was born, where he lives, where he used to, being from Chicago, we got to go live from where the Pope has stepped foot. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg with this Pope stuff. All right, the last one is the Bulls theme.
Yeah, I think we need a sound full on this one.
Let's go. Yes. Gets you hyped, doesn't it?
Completely. Goosebumps immediately. Would that be
so
any
proud.
more perfect?
We are so proud.
I know.
I got to make a comment too because I was watching the coverage yesterday before it was announced. And did you notice that the camera kept cutting to all these really attractive priests?
I didn't know. Oh, is that right?
Yes.
I was looking for a Chicago flag in the sea of
Oh,
people.
that
That's
would
what I
have
was
been cool
looking
too.
for. So I
saw
didn't
the
see
American
faces.
flag. Yeah, no, some of these faces, I was like,
Okay.
wow.
Okay, Caitlin.
Yes, I cannot be the only one that knows. Jenna.
She's giving you the affirmative there.
Yes.
Flipping
yes,
her hair.
Yes. I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of attractive people in this group, and they were wearing their priest garb.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was on purpose.
There you go, Caitlin.
You know, it's like at a sports game when they find the attractive people and they're like, let's zoom in on this person. They did it yesterday. They did that yesterday.
Oh, Caitlin, I love it.
Just
Okay,
saying.
well, the fun didn't stop there with all the attractive clergymen that Caitlin now has a crush on.
Yeah.
We had some fun social media posts to go through as
Yeah.
well from some local leaders. Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, was one of the first to chime in. Obviously, this is a huge day. He's got to be stoked
Oh,
that
of
the
course.
city is in the global spotlight for something so positive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can we get a screenshot of what the mayor posted?
Okay.
We don't have that, so I'm going to have to paraphrase everybody. Brandon Johnson likes his catchphrases. He wrote, "Everything dope, including the Pope, comes from Chicago."
That's right.
There we go.
So true. And the White Sox followed up with, is this it? Oh,
There
this
we
is
go.
it. Okay, it says, well, would you look at that? Congratulations to Chicago's own Pope Leo XIV. You just knew. No, he will throw out the
Oh
ceremonial
my gosh.
first
Whoa.
blessing from the Mount. Can you imagine?
Whoa.
That would be watched around the world. There's your idea.
I'm having several moments, because we're kind of used to presidents coming to town from time to time.
Sure.
It snarls traffic. You see Marine One going over the city, the 3 choppers. It's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
What
when
would
the Pope
happen?
comes to town? Because there's going to be crowds of tens of thousands of people that will come here.
Do you think he's actually going to come to Chicago?
I've talked to 2. We're going to talk to Father Gilger in just a minute, but I've talked to 2 others who are saying their gut is telling them, and you got to trust their gut, right?
Sure.
That he's going to make an appearance.
Not just for the holidays to see his
Right.
family, or for the holidays to see his family,
Mm-hmm.
or will he like fly his family out to him? I just wonder what it's like that first day being announced that you're the Pope. Okay, this is royalty. Like, do they take you back and give you a massage and like a facial treatment? Like, I just
We
lay
gotta
out the
talk
red
to-
carpet. You know what I mean? Like,
I
all of
totally
a sudden
agree.
you're elevated to this.
The most famous person in the world, arguably.
What does that mean?
In a minute, from relative obscurity. I mean, I know he's well known within the Catholic Church,
Sure.
obviously, but now he's an instant household name. It is absolutely wild. I was fascinated looking at the close-ups of his face.
Yeah.
During his initial address from the St.
Imagine
Peter's
the
balcony.
adrenaline spike.
I know, and he really met the moment.
He was
too.
composed. Yeah.
He was very composed, and his fluency in Italian
Unbelievable.
and Latin and English. And then we had a clip on Good Day this morning. It was the first time I had heard a Pope speak in
I know,
English,
right?
a Pope speak
Same.
in English with an
Yes.
American accent.
Bizarre.
It was. It,
And you
it's
know,
still-
like, I just wonder if he just, what does he leave behind everything that he owns and goes and has all of these like new things? Like, you kind of just become a new person. Mm-hmm.
We are going to get a little bit of insight into all these questions in a few short moments with
Okay.
Father
Yes.
Patrick Gilger, who is with us in studio. I also want to mention, Caitlin, that we just showed the White Sox scoreboard there with the pinwheels and everything. You know, there was a little controversy about whether he was a Cubs fan or a Sox fan.
I did hear
yesterday.
that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because both teams initially claimed him. The Cubs actually, and Barstool Sports. Barstool Sports, you dropped the ball, initially claimed him as a Cubs fan.
Why? What was the reason?
I don't know what their source was, but the Pope's older brother clarified that no. That
What
he's
if his
from the
older
South
brother's
suburbs.
wrong?
Hey, older brothers ain't
What
wrong.
if
Look
his
at that.
older
Look at
brother?
that.
Listen.
Do you know what that is? Do you know
Yes.
what that is? That is Pope Leo XIV.
How cool is he?
At
Wait.
one of the 2005 World Series games, and look what he's wearing.
That's hilarious.
That's photo proof.
Here's my
I
theory.
know there's AI and everything, but no, that's legit.
Wait, what if, hear me out, his older brother is a huge Sox fan. Pope lost a bet, had to go to the game wear this shirt. So brother took a picture, and now he's actually really a Cubs fan, but his brother was telling the media, and then he's like, haha, gotcha, texted his brother and said, I told everybody you're a Sox fan, even though you're a huge Cubs fan.
The conspiracy theories start here. That's really interesting. I was fascinated that his brother was doing TV interviews yesterday.
I was
because
shocked
you don't know if Leo was, gets on the cell phone and say, hey, bro, before you do, but who knows?
Did we find out, does he only have one brother?
He's got two brothers.
Where's the other one?
I'm not sure where the other one was, but we saw a shot of the three of them as adults, and then the most adorable shot of the three of them as young boys.
Wow.
And they're absolutely adorable. The local angles, we're still uncovering them.
Yeah.
And there's just such cool stuff. We saw yesterday yearbook photos of his mom, who is the librarian at one of the local high schools.
No way.
We've seen his old yearbook photos. Everyone knows him as Bobby.
Bobby.
Before you got in today, Caitlin, we had a soundbite with one of his childhood classmates who remembers his smile, and she was almost moved to tears during a phone interview because she's just so proud of him and can remember his smile and his presence even back then. Said he was a great kid.
He must be a nice guy.
Yeah.
He seems to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to answer some of these burning questions when we come back
Yes.
with Father Gilger, so please do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Chicago Now here at Studio 32 in downtown Chicago. We are joined on this day after this historic announcement, Pope Leo XIV from right here in Chicago, and we are joined by Father Patrick Gilger. He is an assistant professor at Loyola University. He's a graduate of Creighton University, Nebraska, right?
Yep.
All right, yeah, all right, and trained in philosophy and theology in addition to sociology. So you bring some perspective here, because we're all trying to process this news. You've been doing a great job of kind of helping us navigate this unfamiliar territory. But for those who are just seeing you for the first time, Father Gilger, your initial reaction to this news about Pope Leo XIV?
If I had to sum it up in one word, it would be gratitude. Like, I feel very grateful that somebody from the United States of America has been judged worthy by the cardinal electors of being named Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, maybe I can put it this way. I always think of the Pope as somebody who's from somewhere else, like he's from elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And that distance kind of gives me both a sense of admiration, like, wow, you know, from all the way over there, but also it gives me a sense of safety, because I'm like, okay, if holiness comes from far away, I really don't have to worry about it that much, you know, like, it doesn't have to get at me that much, it doesn't have that much of a claim on me. And look, like, I can no longer use that as an excuse. I mean, this guy grew up in Dalton, here in Chicago, he's eaten an Italian beef. Like, he's gone to, you know, have hot dogs, right? Like, he knows what a deep dish pizza is. He's a Sox fan. Like, okay, like, I'm a baseball fan. Like, I like dipped Italian beef. Like, right. Okay, no more excuses for me. If I also am called, he was called, I am also called to consider holiness in my own life.
It really, really humanizes him too. Do you think that Americans, you know, this is the first American Pope, will have a similar reaction to you, American Catholics, like, wow, hey, this is pretty close to home here?
Yeah, I'm hopeful, but I can't say I'm confident, you know, so, and that's okay. Like, we will see, you know, God can work miracles and may do something special with us. But you know as well as I do what the state of the American Catholic Church is. The American Catholic Church is a holy institution that's full of wonderful people working very hard. It's also an institution that has at times been a little wealthy and a little afraid. And afraid of, like, the new things that may be brought about by God. And so we'll see really whether or not Pope Leo is able to respond to the fears and the hopes that all these different constituencies of the American Catholic Church have. The ethnic constituencies, the religious constituencies, the ideological constituencies. I think he can, but that's a question for us, not just for him.
Okay, there's that phrase, first impressions are everything. Okay. In my mind, when I was watching live yesterday, right over there, yeah. With Michael Murphy, as you know, he seemed to meet that moment, his first, you know, giving this first impression of the world. What did you think of that, his initial address?
I agree with you. I think he did meet the moment really well. I was so stunned at the name Robertus. And I know maybe I shouldn't have felt this way, but, like, you know, they say it in Latin, Robert in Latin, Robertus, and I thought, wait a minute, that doesn't sound quite right. Like, it's too American of a name, you know, like Pope Bobby. Like, what the hell? Yeah. But, like, all of that is so amazing to me. So we can see all of that there being really, really beautiful. And he steps out onto the balcony, and then there was that moment where he's just overwhelmed. Like, you can see his face soften and his Adam's apple move, when the tears start to come, and he held them back, you know, just fine, right? But I felt that very much moving in myself. I started crying. And I felt very grateful that somebody like this was there. His speech was really wonderful too. I'd be happy to talk about it, but maybe that's too much.
We can get into that. One thing I am curious about, speaking of speeches, is, so I watched the movie Conclave, right? And we're reporting that his brother told me several media outlets that he watched it too. And if memory serves, it's been a few weeks or months since I've seen the movie, but I do remember when they depicted the inner workings of what happens in the conclave, the cardinals involved do make a little speech, right? And when you try to surmise, and I know this is guesswork, what could have unfolded in that conclave that led to now Pope Leo being elevated into that position, do you have any guesses about what kind of swayed things in his direction?
You know, I'm not.
Or is that too hard to say?
Well, I don't want to over-speculate, right? But we do have a few pieces of data points that we might use to extrapolate from. So one of the things we could say is that the conclave itself, there are no speeches that are given inside the halls of the Sistine Chapel, other than from Cardinal Cantalamessa, who was the papal preacher. So he gave a long 45-minute reportedly sermon, speech, meditation for the cardinals there to consider what they were doing. Other than that, nothing happened there. All of the speeches were given in what's called these general election, this general congregation that happens beforehand. But what he may have said there, we don't know for sure. But look, I mean, a man who was elected after 2 days of a conclave, he doesn't know he's going to be elected, he doesn't have a long time to write. Probably what we heard on the balcony is similar to the kind of intervention he made in the general congregation.
And for those who may have missed it live, or like me, I didn't understand half of it. Can you sum up what the essence of that message?
Yeah. So he said a number of very important things. He began with an address of peace. His first words out of his mouth were, "Peace to the world, peace to be with all of you." And this is this global recognition. One of the things that stood out to me very clearly is it seemed to me he was really trying to synthesize in his own way and with his own American accent the gifts that the last 5 popes have really brought to the church. So very briefly, you can see in that first address of peace, that's very much a message of John the 23rd. John the 23rd's most famous encyclical was called Pacem in Terris, Peace in the World, very much the same. And then we have Paul VI. His most famous intervention was Evangelii Nuntiandi, a message of joy and of greeting, of newness. And he said the same kind of message of joy there from Pope Leo. And then we have John Paul II, the famous scene of John Paul II having been elected Pope, marching around St. Peter's Square with his crozier saying, "Do not be afraid." And then we have Pope Leo doing the very similar things. Evil will not win. There is no reason for fear. And then we have his wearing of the beautiful red garments and the stole in a nod to Pope Benedict. And then, of course, his explicit references to Pope Francis,
Yes.
Grazie Papa Francesco.
Yes.
And then to synodality and walking with. He's taking all of these messages from our last 5 popes, the best gifts that they have given to the popes, to the church, and really sharing them again from the balcony.
I want to get one other history lesson from you here while we have you. In Blaise Cupich's statement, the last statement that Blaise Cupich gave before he entered the conclave, he referred to, I'm going to botch the exact words, but something to the effect of the successor to St. Peter. Okay? Correct that first of all, but what does this actually mean? A descendant or a successor to St. Peter himself?
Yeah. No, so for Roman Catholics, you may be aware, right? We really believe that the Pope stands in what we call apostolic succession to the original Pope, the first Pope, St. Peter, the one to whom Jesus gave the keys to the kingdom. And so we've traced, we have lineages of Pope to Pope, person to person, man to man, over these 2,000 years since Peter himself was named Pope. And we have this guy now standing in this apostolic line of apostolic succession.
That's so wild. So like when the news outlets yesterday are interviewing his older brother.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind around that. So like if I'm a Catholic and I'm talking to his brother, like you're kind of one step away from this saintly figure.
I think that the expression on your face right now, Anthony, is I think a perfectly apt summary of what we sometimes call the scandal of Christianity.
Okay.
Because not just now, but when Christianity was first coming onto the scene, when the first human beings themselves in the city of Ephesus were called Christians, there was a real scandal that someone who was hung on a tree, crucified, could also be called divine, right? Divinity and suffering do not go together. They do not cross, right? And another way for us to imagine that is that the divine is distant from us. It is transcendent. It is apart. And the scandal of Jesus's particularity, that he was a human being with a mother and an adopted father, and cousins and relatives that he knew, and he was trained as a carpenter. He worked with his hands, that he was a human being with friends who laughed and ate. He cooked breakfast on the shores of the Sea of Galilee for his friends over a charcoal fire with fish there to feed them. Come, have breakfast, he said. That scandal of particularity is part of what makes Christianity, I think, both beautiful and very difficult. Like, how can the God of all creation be so particular? And the same kind of question that I feel that you're asking really beautifully about, our new Pope Leo XIV. How can a man from Chicago
who's eating an Italian beef,
hopefully a dipped one, otherwise, who knows? Right. But that's, how can this be possible that he is from here? But I think that's part of, to come back to the challenge to holiness. No. We are invited to take up that same call. The way St. Peter felt it in his life, that he was challenged by this man who looked at him with a peculiar gaze and said, "Come and follow me." Other people said no. He said yes. We're grateful that, this wonderful man, Robert Francis Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, also said yes.
I asked you this question earlier, but I want to get your thoughts again on it, and that is, what do you think the local impact will be here in terms of, you had an anecdote about a since shuttered parish that he was a part of as a younger man, and then I was wondering about just like, I don't know if these are logistical questions, or are people going to be flocking to his old school? Are they going to be flocking to his childhood home? What is the local impact going to be here?
I have high hopes that the impact will be strong. But the reality is that we live in a world where human beings themselves, we ourselves, get to decide what the impact of things will have on us, what that impact will be. And the same will happen here. I hope that because he is from Chicago, there'll be a little more force to the message, and a little more opportunity for it to penetrate our hearts. Because as you know, I heard you guys talking earlier, you're going to talk about, cell phone use amongst children,
yes.
Right? So what do those things do? What does social media do? It fills our minds and hearts and bodies, in our neurons themselves, with all kinds of images, messages. And sometimes those messages are linked, and sometimes they are conflicting. And so many of the mental health crises that we see amongst young people today, I see in my own students teaching at Loyola, come from this constant conflicting barrage of messages.
Yes.
And what that does, as a sociologist myself, what that does to us is it puts these multiple voices in our heads, and we don't know how to respond to all of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. It makes us a person who is confused and jumbled inside. And so when we come to somebody like Pope Leo, we have a chance to allow a man from our own place to have a voice to us that might bring some coherence to those mixed messages that we're always getting. This message from someone we trust, and not all those voices are trustworthy, but this one, if we can trust this man, is a voice that will tell us two things. One, you are loved. You are loved, I am loved. And out of that belovedness, we then have the courage to say, hey, I haven't always lived up to that belovedness as well as I might have wanted to. That's Catholicism in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. We are created as good and loved and chosen and called, and we don't always respond to the call. If we ourselves, if the Catholic Church in Chicago is willing to take up that call from this new man who's also from our place, then we can really do something beautiful, and maybe people themselves will be invited to come back to St. Mary's in Dolton, where he grew up, and see this beautiful place and revivify it with our presence, not just as a building.
Is that the building that has since shuttered as a parish, or is that a different facility?
Exactly right. Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So will you get folks updated on what? So he led a parish, or he was a member of a parish that has since been shuttered.
As a child, yeah, where he went to Mass, here in Chicago, the parish has been closed down, and it's sad and it's okay. This is where we are in the church these days. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure the people who used to go there feel the pain of the loss of their parish. I felt that in my own ways, the loss of particular communities. But that's what happens as people decide that they are no longer going to affiliate with the Roman Catholic Church for good or for bad reasons. And they make those decisions. People are free. They can make those decisions.
Is the building itself still there?
The building is there, and it's in moderate disrepair.
Okay, okay. But could you see Blaise Cupich being like, okay, the Holy Father, this is where he earned his stripes. We're going to revitalize this place. Could you see that happening?
I never want to speak for the Cardinal, but I would.
You might get in trouble.
I would love to see him consider it, and I'm sure he will consider it. What that happens, though, that can be up to the people of the church, the Catholic Church of Chicago. We can take up that task to say, you know what we want to do to honor this man? Let's build this.
Okay, last question before we let you go, Father Gilger. Is he going to visit Chicago?
I'm hopeful. I'm not confident. Pope Francis never
Did he never visited Argentina, right?
Never visited Argentina, and I think it was intentional. You know,
Okay.
Francis wanted to be, he visited all the places that nobody else wanted to go to. I'm sure he himself would have loved to go back to Buenos Aires and to visit his place and his people there. And I'm sure that, you know, Pope Leo will want to visit Peru and will want to visit Chicago.
He's got to say hi to his older brother.
He has to come see it. And he's got to go to a Sox game again,
right.
you know? He's
I
gotta,
know. Sox need all the help they can get right
They
now.
definitely do.
Father
Definitely.
Gilger, so great to see you. It's been so nice to kind of have you as a resource through this whole process, and we hope to keep in touch and have you back often.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be back with more Chicago Now right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Chicago Now on this Friday morning. It's about 10:30, and one of the major issues that all parents kind of have their eyes on these days is the issue of smartphones. And we are seeing different states pass cell phone bans for schools. New York just passed a cell phone ban for schools. Florida, it's in the works here. There's been a proposal right here in Illinois to do the same thing. Now, concurrently, there's another advocacy movement. Yeah, thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Going concurrently with the cell phone bans, and that's something called the Wait Till 8th campaign. And this is a promise that many parents are starting to make. It's gaining traction.
Including Anthony.
Including me.
Family.
I'm part of this.
Yes.
Where we have pledged to hold off until after 8th grade to provide our children with their very first smartphone.
Caveat to say, that you can get a smart watch to track your kids so they can call you, different options outside of the
Having the
smartphone.
phone.
So it's not no technology, it's just no smartphone.
No smartphone
Yeah.
and no social media or anything like that. And an elementary school in North Suburban Wilmette and a K through 8 school up there as well have both been named in the top 25 schools in the country for the Wait Till 8th pledge, the amount of them. And so this morning we are joined live by Mark Suhu, who is leading the way here in Chicagoland to get Wait Till 8th off the ground. Mark, it is great to see you again, sir.
Wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for
Mark
having
is
me.
responsible. I was telling Caitlin all about the campaign. Mark is the one responsible for
love you for
recruiting
this.
me. For recruiting me.
Okay.
Mark, if you can start us off by running us through, and any parents out there who've got kids who are getting to that point where they're starting to watch screens more, what is the Wait Till 8th campaign?
The Wait Until 8th pledge is a national movement with now over 110,000 parents pledging, just like you, to wait until the end of 8th grade to get their child a smartphone. And I think the key to this is that a collective action problem requires a collective action solution. And so by banding together, we're really helping both kids and parents push off the negative impacts. I mean, you were just talking about it on your last segment, the negative impacts of smartphones and with it, the 24/7 access to social media. And we think that by banding together, we're going to let kids be kids just a little bit longer.
I think that's so smart because you worry about your kids feeling left out, or they've got this and I don't have that. I have a question. I've got three littles, but my question to you is, why 8th grade? What is like the benchmark there? Is it something with their psychology, their relationships with their friends? Like, why is it 8th grade that you feel you should wait until and then it's safe after?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're telling parents that they can wait as long as they want. The Wait Until 8th pledge is the end of 8th grade, and we think that transition to high school is a time that parents can consider getting a smartphone. But many are choosing to wait even longer.
Okay.
So it's not a pledge to get your child a smartphone at the end of 8th grade. It is a pledge to wait until at least the end of 8th grade. But we do think that elementary and middle school are just such critical times for kids' development. Every study, all the research shows that kids' brains and bodies are still developing at those ages. And so we think that keeping smartphones and social media out of the equation until at least high school is so important today.
One of the coolest things about the pledge, and one of the reasons that I was so moved by it, and Mark, I want you to touch on this, is the concern. This pledge actually addresses the concern that kind of Caitlin alluded to it right there. But for those parents out there who think to themselves, I don't want my child to be the only one in his friend group without the smartphone because he's going to miss out socially. He's not going to keep up with these other, he's going to be left out, perhaps bullied in a different way. How does this campaign address that?
I absolutely love this question because that's core to the Wait Until 8th pledge. We do want the kids to be left out. I want the kids to be left out of bullying. I want them to be left out of negative body image issues. I want them to be left out of all the other mental health challenges that come from having a smartphone as part of your childhood. And so I think that that's, again, we're having a collective action problem requires a collective action solution. So by parents banding together, I know that's not true. I know that there's a community of people around me that are likewise pledging to keep smartphones away, and that we're going to let kids be kids a little bit longer. And Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, also touches on a key other component of this, is that we can't replace, take kids out of smartphones and social media. We have to give them other opportunities to connect in the real world. And that's something that we think is so critical for kids' development today, is to make friendships and to be around other kids just without the impact of social media.
So my question to Anthony was, how do you get the word out? Have you looked into perhaps going to different schools and trying to get them to spread the message to parents through emails or, I don't know, parent-teacher conferences or something? I'm just trying to think, I live all the way out in Indiana, where I'm wondering, I wish that this could catch fire there too, and the word could spread faster maybe through these teachers or these principals.
Well, a couple of things. One, it's by being on programs such as this one, so thank you for allowing us to spread the word.
Yeah.
And and two, it's yes, it's a yes and. We talk to parent-teacher groups or community organizations, and I think it's the message to people is get started. Start in your community. It starts with one person. I mean, we started here in Wilmette, and now we have thriving groups in Evanston, in Glenview, in Kenilworth, all across the North Shore, and it's growing like wildfire, as Anthony was mentioning. You know, when I came on this program at the beginning of the year, we were celebrating that we had 60,000 parents nationwide. We're now at 110,000 and growing fast, so doubled almost over the course of the year. And here in Wilmette, we now have active pledges at every K through 6 school in our town, which means that 10 parents in every grade in every school are taking this pledge.
Will you dive down into that real quick, Mark? What happens when 10 parents? What happens when 10 parents sign up from the same school in the same grade? What kicks in at that point?
Great question. So if you go to waituntil8th.org and sign and take the pledge for your child, once 10 parents sign that pledge in a grade in school, you get connected to one another. And so I recently got an email about my daughter's in kindergarten, and we got connected to one another. And now that's exactly the power that, to your previous question, we can now connect with each other and bring other people in and say, look, there's 20 of us who are doing this. Don't you want to join that? And then we think it makes it easier for parents when they see that there's proof that there's people who, like them, want to wait. And we think that's really the power of the Wait Until 8th pledge.
Do you have like social media yourself for this page, Wait Till 8th? Do you have like Instagram and Facebook or a website that we could be spreading and sharing?
Sure, yeah. We have waituntil8th.org as our national website, and we do have many local chapters. Here in Wilmette, we do have a Wait Until 8th Instagram account with several hundred followers. And we do recognize the somewhat irony of trying to stop social media by organizing on social media.
Parents can have it. Parents can have it.
It's a Trojan horse. It's
right?
a Trojan horse.
Yeah. We need it. We need it to get these resources, you know?
Well, and that's exactly the analogy is kind of similar to having a glass of wine, right? There's nothing wrong with a glass of wine in moderation, right? We just don't want kids to do that. It's the same as driving. It's the same as
Amen. They're not ready. Yes, yes.
And that's why we age gate driving. That's why we age gate alcohol. That's why we age gate other things, because people, you know, when you're developing, when you're a young person, you're just not ready for it. And that's a key part of the pledge.
You mentioned The Anxious Generation, the book by Jonathan Haidt. There is a series that is getting tons of buzz really around the world. I mean, I know in the Western world for sure. It's called Adolescence. It's on Netflix. I was giving Caitlin kind of the Cliff Notes version of it, but this is a series that I know the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom wants every middle school and high school to show to their student body. Will you talk about this series and its potential impact on the Wait Till 8th campaign?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this has really driven the message home in a very visceral way. I mean, for anybody who hasn't watched it on Netflix, please, once you finish watching this show, please take the time to go watch this series. It really hits home the message here, which is smartphones and social media just exacerbate so many of the challenges that kids today are facing.
And
that's why I think this series has such power and why people are really drawn to it. Is it really dives into the parents' challenges as well. And I think this is one thing that's really challenging for us as parents is navigating this new world today. And it's scary and it's challenging. And this is no different from every generation, right? There's always challenges with parenting. But all the more reason why we can work together as parents and by joining together with a movement like Wait Until 8th, by parents, for parents, to begin to address some of these issues head on.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you, seeing that show, now knowing the premise, it makes your stomach drop, like there's a weight, like a rock in your stomach. I do feel like campaigns like this almost gives you a solution because as parents, like we have a list of just worries and anxieties as our babies get bigger and just the world and all of the things that's going to come at them so fast. And I think that this is just one of those okay, we're going to wait. We're not jumping into this, and this is kind of a solution to this one problem.
Exactly. So one more time before you go, Mark, the website where folks, if they're interested in taking the pledge, where do they go?
Yeah, you can go to wait until 8th, the number 8, waituntil8th.org to take the pledge. And we really encourage you to let kids be kids a little bit longer by delaying smartphones until the end of 8th grade.
Mark Suhu from the northern suburbs, we appreciate your time. I want to check in with you on Good Day Chicago as well before the end of the school year. We got to get all our Good Day viewers updated on the progress you all have made.
Anytime. We appreciate your willingness to get the message out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, it takes 2 seconds to sign up. And then once again, like you mentioned, once 10 other parents in your kid's grade at your kid's school do the same thing, you all get connected together, strengthen numbers.
And if you can, get their besties. Parents to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if they have their strong friendship group and their parents are saying no, then it won't be as much of a problem. I don't think they won't fight you as hard.
And there's nothing in that against having a smartwatch in the meantime.
And honestly, I feel like all of my parent friends would be down for this.
Down for this?
100%.
Let's keep it going, everybody. Let's keep it going. All right, we are back with more Chicago Now right after this.
Okay, we're back, and this is so fun because our hip producer named this Sad Girl Moments, or maybe both of you guys did. We have Jenna and Delaney back there. Sad Girl Moment with Caitlin. So here's the thing, you guys.
We need a little sad jingle.
Yeah, so my Instagram, the algorithm got me this week, and I was texting with these guys saying this would be a really good segment because it's hitting me in the feels. So this was the first video that I got. Here we go.
Everything. And after that, you no longer ever occupy that same place. They have friends, best friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses of their own, children of their own. But we live in a world where that 10-year window is also the time when you are told that you're supposed to be hustling until you drop. You're supposed to be as busy as possible. You're supposed to be chasing every single more that the world hands you. And my call to action to everyone that's listening to this is to question that. To say, how can I find my own definition of balance during this part of my life? How can I find harmony between my work and my life rather than this dichotomy that's created? How can I embrace those magic years that I have with my children, recognize their impermanence, and be present in those moments? Find energy in those moments, even when you're tired. You are your...
Okay, so this video is about how your kids in the first 10 years of their life, you are their favorite person as a parent. And then after that, I mean, think about it. Like after that, they, like he was saying, they get friends, eventually they get spouses, hopefully if they want that. And that becomes their new life. So you have 10 short years with these babies. And the second part of that video, he was saying that during this time, a lot of the time, you're in your 30s, your 40s, you're really hustling because you're in the prime of your career, you're really climbing that ladder and trying to do the most. And you know, having kids is so expensive, but the way that time goes by so fast with these kids, it's unreal, and it's beautiful, but it's also very heartbreaking.
It is.
At the
that
same
got
time.
me too, Caitlin.
I will say, like, one thing that I heard that actually made me feel a little bit better is you love your kids so much. Obviously, when they're young, you're gonna love them just as much when they grow. So even as they get older and they start to, you know, venture out, you're still going to love them just as much, just in a new version of themselves. I'm sure, every parent, it's...
Absolutely. When I watch that, I think about how attached to me right now, especially my 3-year-old. He's going through a daddy phase.
He?
Follows me around. He wants to be there when I'm brushing my teeth. He's just very, and it could, you know, when I'm having a moment, I think, gosh, this is suffocating. But seeing that, it's just like, you know, we all need a reminder in this, how fast-paced the world is right now, that I can still hold him right now. You know, he still wants me to read to him at night. It's just, it gets me too.
Which, speaking of read to them at night, this is just gonna be a little clip of this song. So this came up next in my algorithm, and then I pulled up the whole song. You guys, I am not lying when I say I listened to this whole song and tears. I was so embarrassed by myself, but I was like, people who see me after this, they're gonna think something's wrong with me.
His first day at school didn't even cry.
So this guy's name is Corey Asbury.
And that was when we knew that life.
It's such a sweet song.
It had a funny way of just passing us by. And these.
Oh my gosh.
So he says,
hitting us today,
like
Caitlin.
the kindergarten drop-off line. I think it's because my kid is going to go to kindergarten next year. Also, with it being Mother's Day, I know this is off the cuff here, but I saved something I wanted to share with you guys for the moms out there. So I saw this and it was just so beautiful. So it says, "You are the magic makers. You are the authors of their childhood. You are light and love. You are home. Happy Mother's Day." Because they were saying it's not just the fact that I know like the jokes are we went through childbirth and everything, but really I thought this was just the sweetest thing to say, that you are the authors of their childhood.
No pressure. No pressure, everybody. No pressure.
Woo!
We're gonna collect ourselves for the next couple.
And make Jenna melt.
That was really beautiful, and you know what? I love that message going to Mother's Day too.
Yeah.
You guys are very
the
special
magic
group.
makers.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, the authors of their childhood. No pressure at all. All right,
Make
we're gonna
it
collect
great.
ourselves, and we'll be right back after this. Will you get me some Kleenex, please?
You get a couple more minutes with us. Happy Friday. We're going to end on a high note, Anthony.
Yes, we've collected ourselves. We've collected ourselves.
Kind
And we want to return to just a couple of Pope-related social media posts that are getting us as well. For fans of The Bear, this was perhaps one of the most poignant moments of season 1. This is Carmi. There's Carmi right there, and he's getting sorry, spoiler alert. This is season 1. We can do it. Getting a note from his deceased older brother that he dug up in the restaurant. I love you, dude. Let it rip. The caption there from Patrick, the Pope from Chicago, receiving a message from God.
Wait,
Love
that's
you, dude.
awesome.
Let it rip.
That's
Yes.
so fun.
How
Let's
great
go.
is that?
That's
and then,
so fun.
And I love this last segment that we have because, Caitlin, I feel like it corresponds nicely with the story you told earlier in this week about what happened to you at Target.
Yes. Okay, so a kind Chicagoan turned my wallet into lost and found at Jewel. What anonymous kindness have you experienced or done for others lately? So, Anthony, what have you done lately?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I had a meeting earlier this week in a hotel lobby, and there was a guy who was disabled. He was on a cart. He could not get the elevator. There was a handicap elevator. He couldn't get it to open, so I took time, and I was able to diagnose. I was actually kind of impressed with myself here. Pat myself on the back. I was actually able to diagnose the problem and get it onto that elevator. Here's the thing: the platform on the elevator, it wasn't all the way down, so the door was locked until the platform came all the way down. So I was like, how do we do this? I lowered it. Boom! The door unlocked, and he was on his way.
Oh, good.
So there we go. It's those stories though. The wallet returned.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
I think mine would be give the compliment. And I try to do that whenever something pops in my mind, like, oh, that's a nice shirt, or oh, your hair looks really cool, or that was really funny, or you have a great personality. Whenever that comes to mind, just say it. I know you might feel like it's weird, but it's not. And
Can
you're
we
going to
normalize
make
this?
their day. Yes.
You made my day with the shoes, and I wore them again.
Exactly.
I haven't gotten a compliment on these shoes until yesterday, until you complimented me.
So if it crosses your mind, just tell the person.
Okay.
Because you're probably really going to make their day.
Okay, well, hold on. We need to, before we go, what's the Goldilocks zone, though, between compliments and not being creepy? Because I know that one guy followed you out into your car.
Well, that was because it was my kids, and he grabbed the cart. You know, I feel like that's a little. My kids, ooh, mama bear. Don't compliment my kids. But no, if it's an adult to adult, I feel like it's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give the compliment. Don't be creepy. It's been a great week here in Chicago. What an historic week. We're all kind of riding high from this.
Yeah.
Caitlin, lovely to have you in studio all week here.
Yes,
Wasn't
thank
that
you
fun?
for watching. This has been a blast. Honestly, Anthony and I, every time we see each other outside of Chicago Now, we're like, this
Chicago
is
Now's
awesome. Here we
Caitlin
go.
Cody.
We're having a great time.
I want everyone to have a great weekend, and especially to all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day, and we will see you right back here next week.